Let's go through the entirety of all the MCU movies, so we can rank Endgame properly and figure out where it falls on that list. Number 21, Captain Marvel. This made the bottom of the list strictly for lacking a main villain or any type of end fight scene. It bored the crap out of me.
I didn't kill you, Pete, I swear.
But in all fairness, most origin stories are fairly boring, as the story has to reflect on a less threatening villain before the main character can really pick up the big guns. Only Captain Marvel had a villain. But because of this reason, it is, in my opinion, the worst movie in the MCU thus far. Number 20, Iron Man 3. The reveal of the Mandarin being no more than an actor really destroyed the whole film for me, but at least it had a villain, which is why it didn't make the bottom of the list. Hype for this installment really focused on Ben Kingsley's Mandarin, a villain that certainly seemed like a big deal and perhaps even a heavy hitter like the Red Skull at Loki, but turned out to be no more than a joke.
You know who I am. You don't know where I am. And you'll never see me coming.
Focusing the attention on Aldrich Killian. We did not buy the damn tickets to watch this boring cliche villain. We bought the tickets to watch the Mandarin kick some ass. Now this next one's going to piss a lot of people off, but screw it, this is my opinion. Number 19, Black Panther. Despite what others may think, I found this movie boring, as the story arc seemed too focused on race relations, trying to pump out the next best black superhero in any way possible. I find it insulting that the only predominantly black place on Earth that is technologically advanced is a fictional city. That's not insulting to you, black people out there? I'm like a 16th black I found out recently, and that pisses me off. So a 16th of me is really pissed off right now. Let's ignore that Africa has been plagued by war for centuries, as people enslaved, yet Wakanda doesn't even lift a finger. I sort of agree with the villain. And the fact that they refer to the Winter Soldier, one of my favorite characters, as a white boy? That pissed me off.
Look, Your Highness, the new king is a U.S. The new king.
You cannot talk!
If this form of racism existed in reverse in any other movie, there would be a shitstorm. We somehow forgot about Blade and Falcon and War Machine and a slew of other characters to make way for this movie that was basically a retelling of The Lion King in MCU form. Let's face it, there's really nothing special here. And we really need to stop patting people on the back and handing out awards left, right, and center because a main character is a certain race or gender. This is another form of racism and sexism. Like, can you not see this? Let's exclude everybody else and hand it to this person even though they didn't really do anything, like, special. I'm sorry, but it's not. Maybe the sequels will be. I don't know. But in all fairness, okay, the Black Panther just not a good movie. Okay, it did not excite me. I was not excited to see it. I watched it in theaters. I gave it a shot. Okay, this film was not groundbreaking. We're just at a point in time where we feel the need to glorify everything that isn't predominantly white. And just forget about all the people that paved the way for them, like Sidney Poitier and Wesley Snipes and all these people. So we can pretend it's something new. Though I do honestly look forward to seeing what Black Panther does in the future, because I do like the character. There's no question there. But as far as it being a good movie, Iron Man 2. Though this movie seemed overly boring, it was concluded with the build-up of Whiplash, and an end fight scene that we would have completely missed with a quick bathroom break. A whole lot of build-up and character development for a quick 2-minute fight. But at least it didn't involve PC politics or stupidly overlooked historical grievances. This guy just rubs everybody the wrong way, and is almost cringe-worthy to watch. And let's not forget that this was the introduction of Don Cheadle as War Machine, which although he is a wonderful actor, he was just way too serious to play the role. Let's just all agree on that.
Doing a big spread on me for Vanity Fair. I thought I'd throw her a bone, you know. Right?
Yes. Well, she did quite
Number 17, Thor. This movie dragged on as most origin stories do, but I found it annoying that the whole film took place in one little town in New Mexico, and the overall presence of Jane Foster and her little crew made the film seem more like a rom-com than a superhero flick, though we did see the first Avengers villain come from this film, as well as characters like Odin and the Lady Sith and the Warriors 3. It just bored the crap out of me. But they dropped the ball by making Jane Foster a returning character and not having Thor show interest in Lady Sif, a love interest worthy of a character such as Thor.
What about Thor?
16. The Incredible Hulk. Yeah, say what you want about Edward Norton's Hulk, but you can't deny the fight between Hulk and Abomination was over-the-top awesome. And if you forgot, I encourage you to watch it again, because it was awesome. Number 15, Spider-Man Homecoming. This film didn't seem all that great, mostly because we've seen Spider-Man on the screen twice before. And how many times do we really need to see Uncle Ben bite the bullet? Like, really? For this reason, this was the only MCU movie that I didn't bother watching in theaters, as I was just tired of watching Spider-Man reboots over and over again. It's so monotonous and so pointless, because you know he's just going to be replaced by somebody else. Maybe that's not the case this time. I have no idea. More troubling, I couldn't help but notice the diversity washing, as though Peter Parker isn't allowed to have a white friend or a love interest. On the upside, Michael Keaton as a villain certainly didn't disappoint, and having Iron Man back Peter Parker was definitely a positive.
Hey, May. How you doing? What are you wearing? Something skimpy, I hope.
Number 14, Thor: The Dark World. It gets a bad rap, but personally speaking, I actually enjoyed this movie more than Thor 1, though they could have either wrapped up the Jane Foster story and moved on to Lady Sif, as we've been all been waiting for, but I don't want to sound like a broken record, but she's just a better character. But she wasn't in Ragnarok, which means that she might have some kind of future with Thor. Here's hoping. I thought the Ether and the Dark Elves were a decent threat to the MCU had they not made the Ether the Reality Stone, which I believe was the original intention, as the evidence is abundantly clear, like I said. Number 13, Ant-Man and the Wasp. Though it was enjoyable, I just didn't find it as entertaining as the first installment, and I feel that Ghost could have brought more to the MCU, especially in Endgame, but she was nowhere to be seen. But nevertheless, an enjoyable film. Number 12, Doctor Strange. Another origin movie and a bit slow for obvious reasons. There just wasn't enough build up to the main villain, whose name few can pronounce, and few can remember, and only made an appearance in the last 5 minutes of the film. It was good, but could have definitely been better. I specifically enjoyed the Ancient One and Wong, but I feel the magical side of the MCU could have been developed better. The magical element was just there, and left too many questions about the multiverse and other concepts. Number 11, Avengers: Age of Ultron. Highly underrated, this film brought loads to the table, including some personal favorites like Scarlet Witch and Vision, and a seemingly unkillable villain with a believable motive, paving the way for Thanos as far as high-risk villains are concerned. Plenty of character development and a steady-paced storyline. This film paved the way for Endgame in many ways, had the Russos actually done their homework. Number 10, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Not quite as good as the first installment. The addition of Mantis was an overall positive experience. Kurt Russell as Ego was brilliant, and the film was chock full of comedy, but not as action-packed as I would have liked. The death of Yondu stands out most in my mind, but so does a lot of holes and unused potential, such as leading us to believe that Stan Lee was more than just a cameo guy, or that Adam Warlock would eventually make his way to the Endgame fight.
I have famously used turds.
Can we put
Number 9, Ant-Man. Both funny and full of intrigue, top-notch casting, and a fantastic storyline, this is definitely one of the best origin story films the MCU has produced, including a believable villain and a genuine threat, and overall likable characters that fit well into the MCU.
Hey, how's your girl, man?
She left me.
Oh.
Yeah, my mom died too. And my dad got deported. But I got the van.
It's nice.
Yeah, right?
Number 8, Captain America: The First Avenger. Hands down the best villain in an origin story. This is the way to introduce a villain and a character. This is the way to do it. It had everything: action, romance, proper character development, and stands out as the third best origin story thus far.
Win wars with guts.
Get away! Get back!
Dummy grenade.
He's still skinny.
Number Number 7, Captain America Civil War. Chock full of action, this film had the entire fanbase choosing sides, which ultimately made the film. Civil War introduced both Spider-Man and Black Panther, bringing a new, darker, and political side to the MCU, and opening up new wounds in controversial personal politics. Number 6, Guardians of the Galaxy. A surprisingly perfect beginning to the overall Thanos threat, this was the first real look into outer space MCU. I wasn't really a fan of the Guardians until this film was released. With A-list casting and a top-notch story arc that pulled the audience inward and made favorites out of otherwise unknown characters. I doubt a lot of you people knew who Rocket was before Guardians came along.
Now I'm standing. You all happy? We're all standing up now. Bunch of jackasses standing in a circle.
Number 5, The Avengers. Pulling together the first phase of films was risky and well worth it. This film was perfectly paced, even though we lost Edward Norton as the Hulk. Still, we were all pleasantly surprised with a perfect match, introducing Mark Ruffalo in his place, though I could do without his political opinions off screen. Though Loki was a rather tame villain, the true villain pulling his strings made the film everything we were hoping for and more. With the perfect balance of action, character development, and intrigue, this was the perfect introduction to a pulling franchise. There's no question there.
Puny God.
Number 4, Iron Man. Hands down the best origin film that the MCU has produced. The villain wasn't too big, a friendly face-turned enemy. Watching Stark progress and create the first Iron Man suit, perfect casting for Pepper Potts, and an array of likable characters mixed with a believable, not-so-far-fetched tech makes this a diamond in the rough in the MCU. My only real problem with Iron Man isn't what we saw in the film, however, but what happened afterwards. Actor Terrence Howard originally played War Machine, and though Don Cheadle, again, is a great actor, he just does not have the same charisma that Terrence Howard had with Robert Downey Jr.
You don't respect yourself, so I know you don't respect me.
I respect
I'm just
you.
your babysitter, and so, you know, when you need your diaper change, thank you. Let me know, and I'll get you a bottle, okay?
Hey, heat up the sake, will you? Thanks
No,
for
I'm
reminding
not
me.
talking. We're not drinking. We're working right now.
Yes, two, please.
No, just I'm not drinking. I don't want any.
That's what I'm talking about. When I get up in the morning and I'm putting on my uniform, you know what I recognize? I see in that mirror that every person that's got this uniform on got my back.
And his presence was missed come Iron Man 2 and the rest of the franchise. It would have brought a much needed element of likability, and his replacement seemed just far too serious to be friends with someone like Tony Stark. It just didn't feel believable or natural. I felt like two actors forcing themselves to try to be charismatic. And I think it just happened with Terrence Howard. Like, that's just me anyway.
Next time, baby.
Number 3, Captain America: The Winter Soldier. Not a whole lot of people agree that this was the best Cap movie out there, but it's certainly my favorite. This film weaved together a story arc from the past and brought it into modern times, with plenty of foreshadowing and a secret rise of Hydra, and the invasion and eventual collapse of S.H.I.E.L.D. This is by far one of the best films we've seen Marvel produce.
You're wrong about me. I do share.
Number 2, Avengers: Infinity War. Finally, we get to see the Mad Titan in a main role, something we've been waiting for since the post-credits scene in Avengers 1. This movie had it all and ended with the biggest down note and cliffhanger in cinematic history. There's no denying that. Infinity War was the first time I've ever seen a film franchise turn the internet inside out and upside down with theories and buzz about how the film was going to be concluded. But in my opinion, it wasn't the best MCU film, but close. Number 1, The Perfect 10, Thor Ragnarok. Hela definitely gave Thanos a run for his money as far as badass characters are concerned. This villain relied purely on skill, earning her title as the Goddess of Death. Conjoining story arc with the Hulk doubled as a Hulk movie, the closest we've seen since Edward Norton played the role. Thor Ragnarok was chock full of action, adventure, comedy, Easter eggs, and a brilliant character development and acting. The 80s theme only added to the style of the film, making it stand out amongst the rest. A grand finale of the God of Thunder fighting in all of his thunderous glory to the tune of Led Zeppelin. The endearing turning of a major villain and the destruction of Asgard made this hands down the best MCU film ever made, no questions asked, in my opinion. Where would I rank Avengers Endgame on this list? Well, it definitely had a decent villain and an end scene sequence that will be remembered for all time in cinematic history, so it certainly wouldn't be listed at the bottom of the list with Captain Marvel, we know that much. There were many memorable scenes, and this is the conclusion of the whole franchise thus far, let's not forget. But was it a good movie? That's the question. The time travel concept, I feel, took away from the whole story. There were more plot holes than any other film in the MCU. The villain wasn't really the main villain we'd expected, but a past version of himself, very unsatisfying. I feel they had 21 movies worth of material to work with, and could have done a hell of a lot more. It wasn't as good as Avengers 1 overall, but it was a bit better than Ultron as far as action sequences are concerned. So I would place Endgame at our new number 9 between Ant-Man and the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. So do you agree with me? Do you wish I just shut the hell up? Either way, I want to hear from you. What was your favorite MCU movie and why? Okay, who's your favorite character? I want to talk, I want to listen to what you have to say, and I want your opinions. So, comment down below. I want to hear from you. And that's all I have to say for today. Thanks a lot for watching, and take care.